Hi everyone, and welcome back to Soul Searcher. I'm Dee, and together with my husband Bob, we're on the adventure of a lifetime aboard our 62-foot Iliad motor catamaran. Along with our amazing friends and crew, Art and Cindy, and of course Soul Searcher herself, we're learning the ropes of cruising. We're exploring incredible places, and we're sharing it with you. Thanks for coming along. Today we're taking you to one of the most beautiful and remote spots in the southern Great Barrier Reef, Lady Musgrave Island and Reef. It's a journey full of challenges, discoveries, and as always, a few lessons about life on our boat. Oh, and sharks. We can't forget the sharks. So let's get started. One of the best things about cruising is the balance between teamwork and adventure. Bob's always the first one to jump into the water, whether he's snorkeling or kayaking. Art, our captain, keeps us safe and steady at the helm, while Cindy, our first mate and chef, makes sure we're both well anchored and well fed, ready for our day's excitement. As for me, I'm usually behind the camera documenting it all and occasionally getting my hands dirty with fishing or, more likely, doing laundry. Together we make a great team, and trust me, that teamwork was essential on this trip to Lady Musgrave. Approaching Lady Musgrave Island, we were really struck by the color of the water. Crystal clear, turquoise, and just teeming with life. But entering this little paradise isn't as easy as it looks. It's like threading a needle. The entrance to the reef is a narrow break surrounded by coral bommies, big jagged outcroppings of coral that can do serious damage if you're not careful. All of us were on high alert as we navigated through. It was one of the rare times when Art came down to the bow to navigate, and he used the Dockmaster joystick to guide us through. The Dockmate is very cool because it uses both engines and thrusters to maintain precision positioning. Thankfully, that and Soul Searcher's stability and maneuverability really came through for us. And then, as if to welcome us, we spotted a large sea turtle right at the entrance. He swam with us for a few minutes, and we were so excited to be given such a warm welcome. It was such a magical moment and reminded us why we love doing this. What we anticipated in our approach to the reef became even more apparent as we painstakingly navigated our way through, and that was that this place is just full of life, and it is so vibrant and multicolored and beautiful. It's incredible to see. More concerning than the reef areas that stuck out into the passageway were the little tiny fragments of coral heads under the surface known as Bommies. And we had to be very, very careful navigating over the top of these because one slip and we could have a hole in our hull out in the middle of nowhere. We didn't like that idea. So we were careful, cautious, and slow going through.
It looks okay to me. What do you think, Steve? Look, Steve.
Yeah. After carefully navigating through the treacherous entrance and anchoring Soul Searcher in the lagoon, we couldn't wait to explore. We were really in our element, and we wanted to explore every corner of the reef that we could get to. Bob commented several times that in all our travels, this was the most beautiful place he'd ever seen, and I pretty much agree with him. I mean, for us, this was the Great Barrier Reef, the highlight, the jewel, the gem. Lady Musgrave Island is a coral cay of about 35 acres in size. It's almost the southernmost island in the Great Barrier Reef system, and it itself is surrounded by an almost 3,000 acre reef, so it's huge. That deep water channel that we entered through, that is the subject of some debate, whether it's natural or was cut by fishermen long ago. And as you might imagine, there's been a bunch of shipwrecks around Lady Musgrave. There's a lot of lore. So I'd like for you to enjoy a little footage of the aerial view of Lady Musgrave Island and its surrounding reef, just so you can get an idea of the scope of it. Enjoy the music, and I'll be back in a few minutes. The next day, we explored the crescent-shaped island. The first thing we noticed as we came ashore was how much of it was made up of old coral. It was fascinating to see how time and nature have built this land out of bits and pieces of the reef. Walking along the shore, we could hear the crunch of coral beneath our feet, a reminder of how closely tied this island is to the reef itself. So the tide is all the way in right now. And notice that Captain Art dropped us on the beach, and then he moved the boat out, the dinghy out, so that as the tide goes out, we won't get stranded on the beach. Because that dinghy weighs a whole bunch, and there's only 4 of us. I doubt that we could carry it out to the water. So we would be here until 6 o'clock tonight, waiting for the tide to come back in so we could get off the beach. I can think of worse places to be away from your boat for 12 hours. The island is small enough to walk around in an hour or two, but every single inch is packed with beauty. We found delicate shells, vibrant pieces of coral, and even a few nesting sites for seabirds. The birds here are incredible. So many species call this island home, and their calls echo through the trees, creating a symphony of nature. An interesting aside about bird sanctuaries is that they can see your drone as a foreign invader, and they will take it out if you're not careful. So when we're in these places, we fly with caution. It's pretty common for that to happen in seabird sanctuaries, and in fact on some islands they don't even allow you to fly your drone because of that. We're here on Lady Musgrave, just exploring the island. We've seen all kinds of, well, everything. What have we seen, Bob?
Birds of a lot of different species, some of them endangered. This is the nesting area. Seeing sea turtles. This is their nesting area. There's a sea turtle right up the beach here, laying eggs right now. And should be wonderful.
Lots of reef, lots of ocean, beautiful sounds, beautiful sights, and it just smells so clean and wonderful. This has been a wonderful trip. Cindy found a whole bunch of treasures right here. She's gonna show and explain to us what they are.
So shells and a starfish. We're gonna let the starfish go back to nature.
And what's the rule about how many shells we can keep?
I have to look at the board again. I think it was 5.
5 in like
20 days.
20 days. Yep. So we're good. So we are all the way around on the windward side of the island. And we're looking at walking over this, but I thought it was too pretty not to capture, because it's all old reef that's up on shore. Probably was reef at live reef at one time, and then, you know, the oceans receded or whatever. Who knows? This is like the bones of an island here. Up ahead, there's a whole school of reef sharks. So we're gonna go take a look at it. Maybe get in the water with them. One of the coolest moments of the trip was discovering this little cove where baby reef sharks were swimming. They were so curious and playful, darting around in the shallows, sort of like they didn't have a care in the world. Watching them was pretty mesmerizing. They didn't like the drone flying overhead though, and kept trying to escape from that. While these sharks are completely harmless, they are a very important part of the reef ecosystem. Seeing them up close was a reminder of just how vibrant and alive this area is. We walked all along the beach, collecting a few shells and other natural treasures. There's just something about the solitude of this place that makes every little discovery feel extra special.
It's moments like these that remind us how lucky we are to be here. Lady Musgrave feels like it's in the middle of nowhere, and that isolation makes it even more special. We had to pause and really appreciate the incredible places this journey with Soul Searcher has taken us.
We all spent time in the water, but I was still too afraid to make a real dive out of it. Art was kind of disappointed in me, but he assured me that I would get more comfortable as time went on, and I'm just going to trust that process. Bob got some gorgeous underwater footage, and that's most of what you see in this video and the last 2 videos. There was so much current, and it was really kind of a little bit choppy, so it's kind of cloudy in spots, but it was a totally immersive experience. Just beautiful. Everywhere we looked, there was something new to discover. From tiny schools of fish darting in and out among the anemones, to vibrant coral formations that looked like underwater sculptures, it was an endless feast for the eyes.
It's hard to describe just how magical this place is. It feels so connected to the ocean, to the reef, and to the life all around you.
One of the unique things about Lady Musgrave is the permanently moored tourist boat. It's set up to bring visitors here for snorkeling and diving day trips. While we love the seclusion, it's nice to know this magical place is accessible for those without their own boats. But for us and other cruisers who spend time on our own boats, it's a really unique opportunity to form a community of sorts. We're the ones that are out here almost no matter what the weather, and we're the ones who are spending the night and spending concentrated amounts of time out here rather than just a day or a couple hours. Even though you sometimes feel isolated, there's a special camaraderie among cruisers. It's like being a part of a big floating neighborhood. You get to know other people, you see the same boats from time to time. But more importantly, everyone tends to look out for each other, share advice, and swap tips about the best places to anchor or explore. For example, at Lady Musgrave, we met an older father-son duo, and the dad hitched a ride out with us to the island. They didn't have a dinghy that could make the trip over from their boat, and the father wasn't able to swim all the way. Later, they brought us some fresh catch for dinner. That was pretty awesome. So anyway, those of you who've watched other episodes of Soul Searcher know that we are new to the cruising life, and you know that we're pretty much in awe of every place we go, and that every adventure has pretty much been a new adventure for us. And the bottom line is, if this is something that interests you, then you can do it. Like, trust me, if the only thing that's holding you back is the fear of doing something new, then just jump in with both feet and go for it, because it's been such a great experience. While we've had our share of adversities and our share of trials, we feel like we've had a successful first trip. And while we may not be spring chickens, we feel like these adventures are actually making us feel younger and definitely more fit as we go along. Hopefully that trend will continue. Besides being home to some of the most beautiful reef in the world, Lady Musgrave was also known in the early 1800s, shortly after being mapped, as the site of harvesting of seabird guano. Seabird guano is an excellent natural fertilizer, helping many crops to grow, and as much as 1 meter in thickness was taken off the island. Although there was a resort on Lady Musgrave Island in the 1930s, now no one can spend the night there except 40 remote campers. That's the limit, and it is completely off the grid and on the honor system to leave no trace. They're pretty serious about this being a bird sanctuary. So after a couple of very fulfilling and very full days of exploring out at Lady Musgrave, it was time for us to get a little bit of rest and then get ready to head back to mainland Australia. Our next destination, Mooloolaba. Mooloolaba is north of Brisbane, and it's home to the conception of Iliad catamarans, so we thought it a fitting place to spend our last couple of nights in Australia before we headed home to the United States. We were hoping to be able to spend a half day or so at Lady Iliad, which has the distinction of being the southernmost island in the Great Barrier Reef. However, it turns out that nature had other plans for us. It was planning another, you guessed it, summer storm. So instead of really spending any time at Lady Iliad, we just had a very rapid drive-by and then headed directly towards Mooloolaba. Traveling back to the mainland gave us some time for reflection. We know that we have a lot of things left to learn, but we've spent 6 weeks now getting comfortable on the boat, and that's a great place to be. It's a good feeling that we've actually done it and we've put this first journey behind us. We're looking for a hopefully uncomplicated trip back to the United States. A good 6 weeks off, seeing the grandkids and hanging out with our friends and family. We've got some lists, we've got some goals and things to do. I know we're both going to start working out with a trainer, or at least I am. And then we're looking at heading back in about 6 weeks for another adventure on Soul Searcher. The last lesson we had to have reinforced was the fact that when you get to a port, you usually have to cross what's called a bar in Australia. Bars occur outside of channel entrances where large amounts of sand tend to collect in irregular patterns, and you really have to have a lot of local knowledge to figure out where it's safe. One thing we've learned as new cruisers in Australia is the importance of timing when crossing these bars. These sandy, shallow entrances to harbors can be dangerous, especially if the tide isn't in your favor or if the seas are high. Since dredging isn't common out in the open like that, we've had to become experts at reading tides and planning our crossings. Again, local knowledge. It's a steep learning curve, but a necessary part of cruising in this part of the world. Entering the harbor at Mooloolaba, we were so thrilled to find another boat parade. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but this was our second port in a row where we had encountered a boat parade, and it was just really so much fun. We also got to meet the crew of Zatara Sails Again, the wonderful and hospitable Kara and James Morgan, and their beautiful children. So it was great to get a little glimpse into family boat life from two Australians who decided to pack in that corporate life and just do their own thing. If you're interested in learning more about Zatara Sails Again, you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram for their social media posts. Well, now it's time to close the chapter on this adventure. If this is your first time watching, we sincerely hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed it enough to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment in the comments section below. Do all the things. We really appreciate it, and it'll help build our channel so we can keep things going into future adventures. We'll see you again soon, and in the meantime, keep searching.
I can't stop dreaming, it's so close that I can touch. Holding my heart here, setting my speed. There is a tide taking over me. Feel the light coming down from the moon. Shine on, I'm ready to move. Got a feeling deep inside. I'm coming alive, yeah, to the ocean of endless streams. Rise up, new possibilities, keeping hope in my eyes. I'm coming alive, yeah. Coming alive. Won't live in fear,